Hey everybody, what's going on? The Montreal Canadiens are almost done their preseason and the regular season is just around the corner with opening night next Wednesday against the Toronto Maple Leafs on the road. One more preseason game to go against the Ottawa Senators in this final tune-up. And I'm going to discuss in this video what we've seen so far in training camp and some standouts that have made their way into the conversation to make this roster. Before we get into that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to this channel. It's easy to hit the subscribe button. Look in the bottom right hand corner of this video and hit subscribe. The Montreal Canadiens have kind of had a set roster for a little bit now, at least heading into the regular season. There's been maybe one or two spots on this roster where you can say that a young kid can make a jump to the NHL level to kick off the season, but there weren't many spots available, at least heading into this training camp. One spot that could potentially be available is up front in their forward group. There hasn't been a lot of players that have at least stood out in terms of the youngsters. I thought Joshua Wall was fairly good in his limited sample size in the preseason. I thought Owen Beck had moments as well. But the one player they continue to give opportunities to is Emil Heineman, and you can kind of see the NHL potential there with Heineman right away as soon as you watch him play. He's a hard-nosed player, plays a solid two-way style of play, and he has an NHL quality shot, one that's going to likely find him scoring many goals in the NHL sooner rather than later. I'm not sure if he's going to ultimately crack the opening night lineup with this Montreal Canadiens team, but there certainly is a possibility that he can crack that bottom six forward group for this club. He brings something that they're kind of lacking in that bottom six right now, which is a goal scoring presence, someone that can really use their shot to find holes on opposing defenses and opposing goalies. So I think he's someone to keep an eye on, at least in the final preseason game against the Ottawa Senators. On defense, there's another one that keeps coming to mind, and it was kind of a surprise because he kind of went under the radar flying into training camp, and that's Mattias Norlinder. Norlinder hasn't exactly been a household name. There was a buzz about him about a couple years back, and that kind of has quieted down of late, but he's had a really impressive training camp for the Montreal Canadiens, and he's someone I've been keeping a close eye on, especially in the preseason games that he has suited up for. The most recent one that he played in was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where the Montreal Canadiens came from behind in the third period and picked up a 5-4 victory. I think a lot of what you're expecting from Norlinder was present there in that final frame of that game. He was a standout in the game because he was going up against some of the top Maple Leafs forwards for the entire night, and he put up impressive numbers in doing so. Norlinder is someone that might not have the size that other players have on the ice, but he has that puck moving ability, he has that hockey sense, and he also has the ability to run a power play, which is something that I think the Montreal Canadiens are looking for on that second unit. It seems pretty clear that Mike Matheson, when healthy, he's going to run that top power play unit for the Montreal Canadiens, and that does make sense. But they're looking for that second power play quarterback, and I think Norlander can be that guy on the second pairing, and he's making it a hard last cut for the Montreal Canadiens to make on defense. I think he's at least deserving of a shot on the opening night roster. A lot of what's at stake here could come into play on Saturday in their final preseason game. But regardless of if he does or doesn't make the team, you have to be impressed with what you've seen from Norlander so far in training camp. And he's showing that he indeed does have NHL upside, which is something that a lot of people weren't sure about a year ago at this time. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below if you think there's going to be any surprises that make the Montreal Canadiens roster ahead of opening night on Wednesday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.